Welcome back to Big Girl Hunters. You join me here down at my Syndicate in Hampshire for another 3 nights. It's Easter weekend and I'm raring to go. The temperature's right up, it's been 25 degrees today. It's absolutely roasting. I'm kind of split between swim called 21 and 22. Come on, a little bit of the area we call the swimming pool and also out in sort of the opening of the channel heading towards the sanctuary. So it's where in the snag where the fish like to hold up. I did see fish in a few different areas right down the other end and this end. And there's a few on, so it was a little bit of a, as it always is, a little bit of a puzzle figuring out where to go. So I decided in on here. Haven't fished this swim for a while, but I do like it in here. Some nice firm spots and some nice shallower areas as well. So haven't put too much bait out because the ducks will, the tufties and the coots, they will get you. I've got 2 rods fishing out in 22 towards the sanctuary out on a really nice firm spot. It's out on a bar, it's really nice and firm, and it goes from being 10 foot, you know, half a rod length up to about 8 foot with the fish being in the upper layers. I wanted to get in the shallowest water possible really. 6 bombs spread out over that. Free of pellet and free of Escort 2 boilie glugged in our serum oil. And some Megaplex flavour as well, so it's real. It's not a lot of bait, but just enough to draw some fish and hopefully pull them down from the layers. Hopefully that salmon oil will just keep putting little droplets out and draw them down from the layers onto the food. And then on the right hand rod, out in the swimming pool 21, I've found a really nice. There's a little bit of loam weed, but it's nice and firm there. And that again, just 3 bombs over that. A nice little S-core white pop up over the top, and hopefully, you know, that will be my starting point. The only bad thing about this swim is that you can't watch the water that well from your bed chair, so I'm going to have to be out and about tonight and early morning. I don't see anything, I'll get on the move. Won't be messing around, say, before it does get really busy again. There was 3 guys fishing on the opposite bank to me this morning, but they've all gone now. I think a couple have gone off to, or one's gone off to a wedding, I believe. So I've been getting out and doing a bit, and I had a right result this week, midweek. I went out, I can't remember what day, if it was Tuesday or Wednesday, went down the urban silt pit just for a quick overnighter, and I met Ollie there after work. I must admit we were a little bit indecisive. Well, I was indecisive, and we spent a good couple of hours walking around figuring out where to go in the road bank, whether to go in the back, and it was me, we were back and forth. So we decided to fish for an hour or so in a disabled area, because when we were looking around, Ollie had seen one in the lilies. I was like, do you know what, mate, let's get a single rod each there, whack a little PVA bag down there, and while we're tying up rigs and all the rest of it and sort of figuring out what to do, you never know, it might rattle off. Unfortunately it didn't rattle off, and we ended up down the bottom end of the lake, a very, very shallow part, which was, like I say, it was a bit of a risk, but it had been warm that afternoon, and the wind had swung round and was pushing down into that area, and they do like it when the wind's pushing down in there. And I must admit, after being in the swim for about 40 minutes and just sort of getting the rods out, I didn't feel that confident. But just as I was like, oh, maybe I've made a wrong mistake, maybe we should pack up and go somewhere else. To the right where Ollie was fishing, just past the lilies, fish just came right out, right old bosh. And then again, 10 minutes later, so we're like, right, sorted, bang on the spot. So didn't want to waste too much time leading around, so I just got 2 rods out, pretty tight to the lilies as usual, as tight as you possibly can get them with fishing safe, of course. 1 solid bag, 1 snowman out there. Ollie did the same. Rods were perfect, nice and tight. Using back leads gets super shallow. It's literally like 2.5 foot. It's just mad. You don't even get a drop. I'm using like 2 ounce leads on a helicopter. You don't even really get a drop. After lying down for the first time, I started to drift off. It was about 9:30. Just started closing my eyes and starting to go to sleep. I was just drifting off, and Ollie's right hand rod just busted off into action. Didn't cause him too much trouble. Bit of a battle in the lilies, and I slipped the net under a nice little ghosty. We didn't weigh it. I reckon it would be about 15, 16 pounds, something like that. Nice little chunky ghost common little ghosty. There's loads of ghosties in there because obviously being a public lake, that people just put all their pond fish in there over the years, so there's loads of koi and stuff in there, so you never really know what you're going to get. So yeah, by this point it was fully dark, and we like to do our baiting up in the dark because there's so many birds on there. So I got out, like, I don't know, probably 50 baits spread over my rods. Escort 2, again, glugged up in salmon oil and our serum. Really good combo, I really like that. The Aminoplex serum, really good stuff. And then yeah, went on back to sleep. Again, just as I was drifting off, I seen a couple show right over my spot, and I felt, yeah, I've got a good chance of getting a bite here. And Ollie was saying, yeah, you're going to get one in the night. And then fell asleep, not much happened. It was early morning, around 2-3 o'clock. My right hand just absolutely ripped off, proper churner, one toner, bent into it, nice little battle. Ollie slipped the net under it. And yeah, I had the most stunning 21 pound common. Right, just had this one. Well, had it in the wee hours of the morning. She's been beasting me up a little bit because she's been in the sack for a couple of hours, resting up. 21.5. Savage take, one toner. Again, tight to the lilies. Another one of the beautiful commons from the urban silt pit. So I haven't got much, only a couple of months left on the ticket here, so hopefully I can have a couple more of these lovely beautiful fish out of here. Absolute beautiful common. These fish are so lovely and dark. They live in a very shallow silty lake with lots of lilies, lots of natural food, and yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous fish. Stunning little gems, right on an estate near a main road. Banging. Well, let's get her back. Beautiful, beautiful carp, and then get to work. The shoulders on it. As you can see, I was over the moon with that comment. Really one of the nicest comments I've caught for ages. Some really nice fish in there. And rods went back out, a few more baits, and unfortunately nothing else happened. We were off fairly early to work, and that was it. So yeah, it was a nice quick overnight, and hopefully I'll be back there again next week for overnight and see if we can have some more fish out. It's the right result. Well, I'm back down the urban silt pit. As you can see, I didn't manage to catch a fish out of my Syndicate, and my trip was actually cut short. I had another disaster. I don't know what it is with me this year. I've one disaster after disaster. I'm not that actually accident prone, but it seems this year, 2019 is the year of the accident for me, because that's all that's happened. Continuing on with my Syndicate, I was getting on to my second day, and it got to about midday. So I decided to sort of reel in before getting everything settled and go for a bit of a wander, see if there's anything else to fish for. And I did find around 30 fish down the other end. So I decided, in true bigger hunters fashion, I packed up in a rush and headed on down there. This is the moment I So basically, as I was heading round on my Syndicate pit, one of the sides is actually quite a raised bank. And I was walking down the path, quite a small little path. I've walked around there many times with my barrel, and I'm not 100% sure what happened because it happened so quickly, but what actually happened is, what I think happened anyway, is I hit into the left side into the fence just slightly with my barrel, which was loaded up, and not probably loaded the best it could be because I was rushing around. So there's a lesson to be learned, which was fine. It kind of wobbled me, and then I kind of wobbled to the right and hit into like a bit of raised ground or a tree root, and I actually just went over with my rucksack on my back and my barrow right into it. And it's a big old drop. I reckon it could be at least 6, 7, maybe 8 foot drop. So I was lucky really to not get hurt. So I was down there. It happened so quickly. I sort of landed in the trees, and my gear was in the trees. I was like, oh my god, what had happened? I managed to kind of climb up with my bag on my back. Luckily, 3 of the members were on the watchtower at the time, which is only, I don't know, about 50 yards up the lake. I don't think they heard anything because it was I was pretty silent in my fall. said to him, oh, can you give us a hand? And I couldn't really, because my adrenaline was pumping, really explain myself. I was like, I've just fallen over, blah, blah, blah. And they came down, and it took 4 of us to get my barrow, which was still loaded up with gear, back up. Back up on the bank, and we were having a laugh about it. How did you do that? Blah blah blah. I was laughing, so I was like, right, head on back down towards these fish. Sort of 20 minutes later, as my sort of adrenaline died down, I guess, I looked down. My knee was swollen, and I couldn't walk properly, and I was in absolute agony. I was, oh my god. So just as I was sort of leading around, just trying to find a few spots to go at these fish I'd found, all of a sudden come to the realization that I was basically my knee was completely. I sort of hobbled round and had to go, and that was my my weekend short. I worked 7 days straight last week, so I decided to come down here to the urban silt pit and give it a go for a few hours. It's even though we're in May, it's absolutely bloody freezing. I'm here with my mate Matt. Hopefully we can get a few fish, or at least something on the bank, and I'll keep you updated. 26.6. Had it out the lilies on the old Escort wafter. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Buzzing with this one. What a stunner. Absolutely love the fish in here. Oh, this one's a back burner. There she is, 26.6. Absolute beautiful silt pig from the urban silt pit. Beautiful fish. Whew. I'll get her back. Off she goes. Oh. What do you reckon, split tail or not? I'm just going to talk you through the rig I've been using to catch these lovely fish. Very simple, this one, just 3 components needed: a size 4 mugger, some 20-pound dark matter, and a little bit of silicone tubing. First stage is peeling off your dark matter. I'd say cut off about 12 inches. Next, tying a quick overhand loop. This is where the bait will be presented later. Your next step is then getting a small piece of silicone tubing, I'd say about 1 to 2 mil, very, very small amount, and you'll be using this to trap the bait into position. You thread it onto the hook backwards, so what you normally would. You then tie your knotless knot. I do about 8 turns on this one in particular and thread it back through the eye. Sorted. Now time for hook baits. On this occasion, I'm using the Escort 2 and just tipping off with a beautiful bright tootie, and I just chop them down so they make a sort of a mini snowman, and that just settles on the silt perfectly. Place it onto your hair, leaving a good 1.5 inch space between the hair. Loop to finish it off, tighten it up with a puller, and then I thread on a little bag of pellet, and we're all sorted, ready to go. Well, good morning. Right, the first thing I've got to say is it is absolutely Baltic. I cannot believe it is this cold in May. Dropped down to 4 degrees with this wind blasting. It feels like 2 degrees. It's absolutely freezing. It's Baltic. I can't believe it's this cold in May, but there we go. So the last 12 hours have been quite eventful. Some positive, some negative things. So we'll start off with my fish. Obviously you've seen that, it's absolutely banger. It's not a fish which is called split tail, unfortunately. It's one we call snub nose common. Still one of the 18, one of the real bangers, so absolutely buzzing to catch that fish. One of the nicest commons I've seen in a very long time. I keep saying that about all the commons I catch out of here, but this one in particular was really, really dark. It was just, head was jet black, had them lovely sort of orangey tones underneath, reds going into almost plum colours. Absolutely stunning. And then just before that, Matt had lost the fish. This next segment is going to be called Matt's Misfortune. Now, Matt's not here right now. His gear's here, but he's not here. So let's just rewind a little bit and talk about his fish. Or the loss of a fish. Rob ripped off a few hours before mine, snagged him up in the lilies, and unfortunately, it was really snagged in there. So he went in for it. As you've got to, this lake's quite shallow, so he went in, stripped off to his boxers. I don't care what people say, as long as it's done in a safe way. I mean, I know the depths. I've been out there myself in my waders, particularly youngsters. If don't do anything like this unless you have, for one, you're a good swimmer. 2, you're being supervised, and 3, you know the lake really well and you've got a prodding stick. Don't go in, especially in waders, if you don't know the depths. We thought the fish was still on, but as he got to the lilies, unfortunately, it was cut off. All bleep on the right hander. So he got wet for nothing really. So that was the first kind of Matt's misfortune. I was just going around to Lidl, and it's Matt's job to light the barbecue. So I've come back to see a very sorry sight of Matt in absolute agony on his bed chair. Now, previously to this session, I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago, he'd maybe fractured or broken a rib whilst playing football, and it had been fine up till now. But as he's gone down and messing with the barbecue, he has cracked his ribs more or broken some ribs, and he had to go. It's now morning, and the gear's been with me, so I've packed it up a little bit. And Ollie, another one of our dear friends, is coming up to help me pack up his gear and load it into his van. But Matt went off to A&E. I spoke to him this morning. He said he's feeling sore, but it's okay. Hopefully I can get back down to my Syndicate in the next few weeks for some quick overnighters, because I am actually fishing the next 3 weekends, but not there that I've booked in. So next week I've got a social at a completely different day ticket lake with the lads I'm going to France with, and then the next weekend we've got the Richworth social at Blue Pool, which will be buzzing, and then after that I'm going to France. I might be able to squeeze in a quick overnighter here there, but it might not be ideal. And it's starting to do fish now. It seems always to be the way with me. The timings are always so wrong for me at Roach Pit. Every time it starts to do bites, I either can't get to the lake or I'm fishing somewhere else or something. So it's probably half my own doing, half unlucky, but there we go. I've still got a lot of time, and it won't be long until I'm heading to Reading to fish for some real whackers. Right, so just as I was deciding to pack up, my rod ripped off, and I've got a nice mid-double, another one from the Urban Silt Pit. This one's tail's a little bit battered. Get him up for you. Oh, there we go. So yeah, £15.6. Don't know what it's with the 6 ounces with me at the moment. It seems to be everything 6 ounces. Oh, luckily three of